Hi, welcome to another edition of the Alan Rosenberg Show. It is Sunday Memorial Day weekend. It's about 1:15. Today is the Rolling Stones' second show. Later on today at MetLife Stadium, I'm going to be going there. So currently wearing a Beatles shirt, a Ringo Starr shirt, and not listening to the Stones. I'm doing a video for you, and I was going to do a book review. Martin Popoff, who is probably the most famous, most successful rock writer in the world. Now, I've read a bunch of his books, and I've recently finished this book. And this is a kind of a cool book, Satisfaction, 10 Albums That Changed My Life. And what he did, cool concept, he interviewed 82 rock stars. And, you know, Martin's a big fan of like hard rock, heavy metal, so it leans to that to a certain extent. But he's got a good selection of rock stars, and he asked them to choose 10 of their favorite albums, 10 albums that influenced them, that changed their life. And I wanted to read this because about 2 years ago, I did a video of that about me. These were like 13 of my favorite albums of all times that changed my life. So it was just like that. And then the last video I did 4 days ago was my favorite bands of all time. So it all kind of goes together with this, comparing me to 82 rock stars. So it's a really nice book if you haven't seen this. And basically, this is the 82 rock stars he interviewed. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare their choices to me. And then you can compare them to you, which I thought would be kind of fun. So there's your 82 rock stars that Martin Popoff interviewed. And if you go through the book, let me try to show it to you. It looks like that, Nancy Wilson, and it's a really nice book because he reproduces the artwork of the albums, and then whoever's being interviewed writes a blurb about why those albums are their favorite. So it's really cool. I really kind of enjoyed it. You know, a little bit dry, and you wind up seeing, you know, sometimes a lot of the albums over and over again, which is to be expected. But there's a wide variety of choices and a wide variety of people he interviewed. So a lot of hard rock, but, you know, a lot of regular, you know, people from different other aspects, different genres of rock and roll. So this is the book, and I read it, and I got to the end of it, and there was one thing about it that really disappointed me. And you know, Martin doesn't know me, he doesn't know my channel, but one thing he didn't do in this book that really bummed me out is he didn't tabulate anything. So when the book ends, it just ends. It ends with like the last rock star, James J.Y. Young from Styx, and then it just ends. And I'm like, well, where do we stand? All right, I just read all these albums, but what's the most popular? You know, what was chosen the most? And it frustrated the hell out of me. So I've spent the last week tabulating the results of this book. That's right. I did two different Excel spreadsheets, and I went back to the book and I typed in every band or artist that was chosen and every album. And then I sorted it, and then I counted them up. And I came up with the results. So something I wish Martin did in the book, but because I love data, and now I can tabulate it and say, well, these are the biggest, most selected albums amongst 82 rock stars and the top artists as well. So I've done that work for you from this book, and I thought it would be really fun to compare the results with my choices from 2 years ago. And from last week, actually, when I did my favorite bands of all time. So let's do it. So we're going to start with rock stars choose their favorite, most influential albums of all time from Martin Popoff's Satisfaction book. There's 82 that were interviewed, times about 10, over 800 albums I put in the list, and then sorted it. And I'm going to give you the top 20. Now, a lot of them were tied, so it's actually less than 20. But here are the top 20 albums chosen by the rock stars. Proud to say that out of these 20 selections, I own 18 of them. So I'm only missing 2 of them. So that's pretty good. At number 20, well, actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's like 10 of them or so, or 11 that are tied, that had 5 votes. So all of the ones I'm going to show you right now were tied with 5 votes. One of them is the Beatles' White Album, right there. And then we got Van Halen's debut album. And then we got Rubber Soul from the Beatles. And then we got Revolver from the Beatles. I guess that's going to run out. Let's see if I could add this over there. And we got Revolver from the Beatles as well. And then what else did we got? We got Pet Sounds from the Beach Boys. Let me see if I could see that. We can see this okay. We got, let's add that over there a little bit. Add this over there a little bit. See if we can see that. Got Pet Sounds. We got next, one of the two that I'm missing is the Blues Breakers with Eric Clapton from John Mayall. Now I have a couple of John Mayall albums, but I don't have that one. I know it's a legendary album. I just never got it for whatever reason, and so I'll stick that John Mayall there, kind of as a holding pattern. How does that sound? I'm cheating, but only partially. All right, I think that's better, right? Let's do that like that. Okay, that's John Mayall. And then at next we got the Sex Pistols with Nevermind the Bollocks. Here it's the Sex Pistols. And then came in Led Zeppelin 2. This is the remastered 2 CD version of that, but we'll stick that over there. That looks good. And then we got Miles Davis, Kind of Blue. And I'm going to show you all of this at the end anyway, so don't worry. Then you got Disraeli Gears from Cream. Stick that over there. And you got, no surprise, Dark Side of the Moon. Pink Floyd, of course. Don't fall. And that's 10 through 20. All of these got 5 votes on the Martin Popoff book. Then at number 9, it was 3 albums that got 7 votes. At number 9 is Deep Purple in Rock, which I actually don't have. I like Deep Purple. I have a lot of their albums. For whatever reason, I don't have in rock. My favorite is Machine Head, so I'm going to cheat as a holding pattern. That was voted a couple of times as well. Then you got Mahavishnu Orchestra with the In a Mounting Flame. I was surprised to see that legendary, jazz fusion rock album, but it was there, and I have it. We'll stick that like that. And then Jeff Beck Group's Truth, which was cool to find because obviously there was a huge influence on Led Zeppelin. So that was a cool one. All right. Right there, you have through number 7. And then at number 6, you got the Rolling Stones' debut album, England's Newest Hitmakers, which was also, they included the UK version of it. So that one had 8 votes, and that was tied with the Who's debut album, My Generation, deluxe edition of that. I got that mega one up there. But that also was chosen with 8 votes. So that was 5 and 6. Then you got 2 tied at 4 and 3. And that was Led Zeppelin 1. I actually thought it was a little bit surprising, but it's cool. And then you also had Meet the Beatles and With the Beatles, which are 2 very similar albums. With the Beatles is the UK version, which was their second album, and Meet the Beatles was the US debut, but they're very similar. So I kind of ganged them up together because they're very similar. So that is right there. We can still see that. And that leaves 2 albums left. What do you think were the top 2 albums in Martin Popoff's 10 albums that changed my life according to 82 rock stars? Well, at number 2 was what you might expect, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band from the Beatles, and that had 16 votes. But what do you think was number 1? By far, is kind of surprising, although amazing classic album, and that was Are You Experienced from the Jimi Hendrix Experience, was the number 1 album as voted by 82 rock stars for their all-time favorite, most influential album of all time. So there you have it, and that's 20 albums chosen from this book by 82 rock stars. And I think it's kind of interesting. So I thought you might think that was kind of interesting. Let me show you what that looks like on paper, because this is what I did. So here are the top 20 according to the book. And if you watched my channel 4 days ago, well, no, actually that's the bands. About 2 years ago, I did my all-time favorite albums, and that influenced me the most, and that was my list right there. So there is rock stars who choose their favorite most... Oh, no. Let me show you. These are the albums that changed my life versus the rock star versions. And what's really interesting to me is that none of my 13 are on their list. And I think that's pretty fascinating. And look at my choices. Stone's Sticky Fingers 1, Quadrophenia Who 2, Physical Graffiti by Zeppelin 3, Foxtrot by Genesis 4, Fire in the Mountain, Charlie Daniels, well, I wouldn't expect to find that, David Live, Diamond Dogs 6 from Bowie, Yes Songs from Yes 7, Wish You Were Here from Floyd 8, okay, well they got Dark Side. Frampton Comes Alive 9, Sleepwalker from the Kinks 10, New England from Wishbone Ash 11, The Pretenders Debut 12, and London Calling from the Clash 13. So, big difference between my choices and Martin Popoff's 82 rock stars. So I thought this was kind of a fun, unique video. I hope you find it interesting. One more tabulation I did from the book. So I now added up all the albums chosen by the rock stars and sorted it by the group and how many showed up the most. And this is pretty interesting. Rock stars choose their favorite, most influential artists of all time from the Martin Popoff book. And there it is. The Beatles number 1 with 59 albums. Not 50, 59 albums chosen. A lot of them were Sgt. Pepper's. Jimi Hendrix, 37. The Rolling Stones, 25. Led Zeppelin, 24. The Who, 16. The Beach Boys, 13. A lot with Pet Sounds. Deep Purple, 13. Cream, 12. Bob Dylan with 9 albums. Elvis Presley with 9. And then you got 3 tied at the end with 8 apiece. David Bowie, Mahavishnu Orchestra. Most of them were the Inner Flame album. And then Miles Davis with 8 albums at number 13. That's their choices from the rock stars. And from 4 days ago, here's my favorite bands of all time. And let's see how it goes. Well, mine were the Rolling Stones, the Kinks, not on theirs, the Who, Genesis, not on theirs, Dire Straits, Wishbone Ash, Bruce Springsteen, U2, Jethro Tull, not on theirs, and Dylan, Zeppelin, and Bowie do appear on theirs. So, pretty kind of interesting. So there you have it, folks. Not only am I reviewing this book, but I tabulated the results and compared it to my choices, and now you can compare it to yours. So I hope you enjoyed this unique video. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. My hat's off and my thank you for all you veterans and people that are still in the service and currently in the service. You know, you risk your life to protect the United States and as well as countries around the world so we can be free to do whatever we want and say whatever we want, and that is unique in the world. And right now there's a lot going on in the world and a lot of people who are marching and things like that. They don't even know what's going on out there. So thank you to the soldiers and the veterans for giving me and everybody else in this country the opportunity to live in the Western world where we have freedom. And that is something that is overlooked quite often. So thank you again. I hope you have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Tonight I'm going to see the Stones, and I'll give you a review in a couple of days after I recover. And as always, if you're new to my channel, hit subscribe. Check out my other videos. Thanks. Have a great day, guys, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Take care.